Each month, myself and other Irrational Passions members will play through a new game. Modern to retro, obscure to popular. Games we've played before and those we haven't. We'll be hitting checkpoints as we go and discussing our experiences. Play along with us and join in the discussion. This is Video Game Book Club. Welcome everybody to the next episode of Video Game Book Club, where we dive once more back into the Blind Forest with Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, the final episode of this two-parter. I am once again joined by my Division 2 beta buddies, Mr. Quin Hoffman and Mike Burgess. How's it going, guys?
I'm stuck in the gravity. Whoa. Whoa, gravity, guys, it's crazy.
I got some fucking thoughts about that, y'all.
We'll get
So
to
do
there.
I.
And the Mr. Miyagi of Irrational Passions, Mr. Alex O'Neill. How's it going, my bud?
Jack it on, jack it off, baby. Let's go. Let me hear your qualms about gravity puzzles. I will take them.
Awesome.
I've been very bummed out about this all week. For listeners' reference, in the Slack, a lot of people are being like, "Boy, I do not like this part of Ori," and I'll be like, "Oh, I really like this part of Ori."
You do you, boo-boo. Man, nothing's wrong with that.
I'm embracing
But,
my bliss.
As a brief recap of the first part of the first episode, the too long didn't watch, but you should watch, episode 1 of Ori and Video Game Book Club. So we start off with a very sad up-like scene. There's some death, there's some more death, and some fire. It's just sad. And you're this cute little carbuncle-like creature where you have to venture to this giant tree, reclaiming the MacGuffins, and yeah, you visit the Misty Woods.
The element of warmth.
The warmth was
Give me
today.
the warmth.
I know, but I just that
We
was
got
the
water.
thing.
Or flow.
And I'm pretty sure
The
volcanoes
element of
aren't
wet.
warm, they're hot as fuck.
But it's the element of warmth.
Hell of a
It's true.
warmth.
I'm just going to put that out there for those listening.
Warmth
element
to
of
the
hella
extreme
breezy.
degree. That's all.
I just love the name element of warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your life, Alex?
Yeah, it sounds like life.
Big old hub.
Just a big old warm hub.
Man, that's what it should have been instead of a volcano. Just like a big, like a Snorlax like forest creature that just gives you a big warm hug. That's what it should have been.
The element of hug.
More games need elements of hugs.
And Ori too, don't worry.
Yeah.
Excellent.
When we get to our Will of the Wisps book club, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that'll be good. But we venture through. We meet a little soot ball with arms and legs called Nemu, or no, Gumo. And he steals something, and then we become friends, and we reclaim it. That's all happy, and then we go through a Guacamelee-inspired spooky forest, because we all agreed last week that it definitely reminded us of Guacamelee.
Didn't
And
say
it might
that.
be one of the worst stages in a video game ever. Yeah,
I didn't say that at all.
I would say that, thinking about it
That's-
now.
That's like crazy hyperbole. Have you played PS1 platformers, dude? No.
No, because I was a child when those things came out.
That's what I'm saying. You can't make blanket statements when you
Yeah.
haven't played half a video game.
Alex, I write
True.
for Irrational Passions. All I do is fucking blanket statements, let me tell you.
You're setting the brand wrong. We need to go back.
It's true.
So we take care of the Misty Woods and we continue on, and our next mission is to climb up to the Forlorn Ruins to get the next MacGuffin that takes us to the last MacGuffin stone and all of that. So let's start off with the journey to the Forlorn Ruins. What did you guys?
So I'm curious here. So we're getting into a lot of different looking parts of this game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do y'all feel? Because I know a big thing for all of you was how kind of samey everything felt. All these areas I feel like look pretty different from one another. How did you feel about
Yeah.
these?
I'll just say I like all the traversing the map. I think it's fun, and it's probably like one of my favorite things about this game is just like exploring. Because on the way to, we'll get to it later, the mountain place, I did a little bit of exploring and upgraded my health so I don't die every fucking like 10 minutes.
That's a good call.
Good move. Good move.
But getting to the Forlorn Ruins was interesting because it just felt different. I also have a lot of thoughts about that stage.
Mhm.
But I think the exploration in this game is probably my favorite part of it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's very much a Metroidvania. I think it
Yeah.
settles in and out of that between like its kind of more focused, hard platforming sections that are like certainly more like the story beats of the game pretty well.
Just the controls and the traverse mechanics, I think, are done really, really well.
Yeah. Something we didn't talk about like last episode that I just like I want to emphasize is like there are parts about this game that I just think feel so good. Like every time the bash mechanic, so when you hold the Y button on the Xbox controller and swap with something and kind of blast off of it, every single time that is used, I just think it's the best thing. I think it is like one of the most brilliant platforming mechanics I have ever used, and I love it. And it just stands out in this game above honestly anything else. It just, man, like nothing I have ever played feels quite like that.
And it felt so rewarding when you like especially when you get to Mount Haru. I felt when you're stringing a lot of those jumps together, so it feels, and I mirror what you were saying about that traversal mechanic, Alex.
Yeah, I love it. It just there's nothing that I can quite compare it to in my head, which is the big thing.
Yeah.
Like I said in the first episode, like I think the combat sucks in this game, but movement feels great, and I think that's the one thing that makes exploring so fun is like dashing across and figuring out all the weird ways to get to a certain place.
I've been thinking about that too, like the combat kind of issues, and like I don't know, I definitely, the more I think about it, the more I fall like hard on the line of like I really like this. I like that you are not an active participant in combat. I like that it is this kind of passive thing, and I like how that fits into like what Ori is as like this weird kind of forest creature that's trying to restore balance here, but you never actually physically engage with anything that is like an enemy to you. I don't know, I really like it. I like the way that you kind of have to weave in and out of attacking enemies and have to basically play an area around them while assign attacks for you. I don't know, it really works for me. The one thing I've been more worried about, like watching Ori and the Will of the Wisp trailers between the last time we talked about this and now, is like, man, I hope they can nail like how it feels to have a sword in like 2D action, and like how it feels to have like real combat.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a little bit of interaction because you can do like the stomps and some of like the charging stuff. You get a little bit
charge
of this.
Ones charge through the dash through.
Yeah, I was utilizing that like stomp a lot against like enemies in these later areas, just because like it's like so damaging. Like any of those like big blob dudes.
Yeah, you get one that upgrades the shockwave of the stomp.
Yeah, you can literally just like stomp onto them, and that like takes them out instantly, instead of like you sitting there like mashing on shooting them as they become smaller and smaller. You can just stomp on them and it takes them out.
So I would always use like the charge shot for those guys.
Yeah.
I want to use my that charge explosive shot because I didn't want to lose the spirit energy or the orbs.
Yeah, I think it's
so I didn't use those much.
I think it's the third skill tree that you can max out, like the on the line, the third one. Like I always max that one out first because a lot of the abilities are very supportive. So like one makes it so your charge shots only use like half of one of your charges, and another makes it so that when you drop the rift to save, it's just half of one of your charges. So
that's the best ability in the game, like right there. Let me tell you.
It just doubles.
Definitely helpful.
Everything that like uses your blue meter, it just doubles like everything you can do with it. So. At no point I think I ran out of blue energy in this like last half of the game.
Yeah. I kind of agree in terms just briefly in terms of combat. It didn't strike as big of a chord for me. I do like the kind of more passive, like how it prioritized defending and kind of the movement aspect, but the little fireballs just never did it for me. Like, even after upgrading them, they never did enough damage or have enough reach for... It just never felt really good to me. Like, it always felt weak. Like, even going back to earlier locations, yeah, the fire did a bit more damage even after upgrading them. But in the later parts, even like those jumping guys, I just felt like I just kept mashing. It's just like, okay, this is kind of annoying. Or the little, in Mount Haru, the little blobby things that would shoot out the 3 fireballs and then explode on the ground.
Yeah. I think
it wasn't the best combat. It was far from the best combat I've played in a 2D like Metroidvania style of game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not gonna hold up, especially like against something like Axiom Verge or something like that. But
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight especially. I get like not liking the combat. I just the more I thought about it, like especially like I played like all of it earlier today, so it's still pretty fresh for me.
Yeah.
It's everything. Like I just like sat and like really immersed myself, like settled myself into every aspect of that game, and it all really works for me. Like I like especially the environments in this second half. Like I love how it looks. Just man, I could look at that game, honest to God, forever. It just everything about the art works for me. I like how it feels. I like how you interact with that world. Like when I'm in combat, primarily, I'm using the charge attack and I'm using dash to reflect projectiles back at enemies. So like,
hey, Mike, what do you think about the combat?
I mean, I thought it was fine. Like I said, like I kind of, like I would try and utilize like the stomp and like getting up above enemies a lot more if I could. Or like I wasn't necessarily like reflecting projectiles often back at enemies, or usually when it was like kind of necessary for certain enemies. But usually I would use it instead of reflecting it, is to like get them off me, like kind of like that, when they get close enough, you hit the dash and kind of like bounce them away from me if they got too close. I couldn't kind of handle it or being overwhelmed. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like it was fine, but it was also like for me it was not like the thing of the game of like it was like by this point in the game you have like pretty much the majority of your movement options, and that is like a lot more. That was a lot more engaging and fun to me, just being able to move around the world and like scamper and climb up a wall really high and then like leap off and dash around on different things, or like wall jump around and stuff. Like once now you have everything at your disposal, it just felt really good to move around and get around for sure.
It was a thing like I had forgotten that last ability you get, like the super jump, and it's like once
that feels really good to me. Like my feeling with the super jump mirrors what you feel about the dash.
It's really cool too, because you think back, like last week we talked about, it's kind of lame that one of your major upgrades in the game is that I can climb walls instead of wall jump them.
Right. Yeah.
But then when you combine the like being able to hold onto walls with the super jump, and the way those two abilities work together, it's like, man, this feels fucking great. Like this is just so good. Oh man, it gets me so hyped. I love it.
The sound design of that, it just feels so powerful when you like jump off. It's like a little explosive sound effect.
Thunderclap.
And then good. That's what sold me on.
Yeah, and like getting to a point where you learn like I learned it pretty quickly, but even just learning that you can kind of charge it and like, you know, kind of be moving around and hold down the trigger and have it charge up while you're moving around and then let it go and use it whenever you need. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Like, even like after the Forlorn Ruins is over, like that first Kuro chase, like when you can jump down and then while you're in the air, like hold it and then blast off. It's very good.
I love how when Ori's on the wall, he like points out, he's like, I'm coming for you, coming to get you, and you like shoot out.
Kind of aimed shot. It's very good.
Yeah.
I will say, because I played Hollow Knight before I played this, that charge shot reminded me a lot of that Hollow Knight ability where like you can just dart across.
The crystal charge thing.
Yeah, it's like those, like, I love movement abilities like that, and they just, I think for me, the charge jump wasn't as fun as like jumping off walls was. Like going straight up was fine, but like jumping across from walls and that tight, intense platforming, I'm very much here for.
Especially like there's some great puzzles like later game and like in the volcano where you can like go directly from wall to wall, like zigzagging along the walls with the charge shots. Feels so good.
Yeah, any gripes or kind of meh feelings I had in terms of the combat are so overshadowed by just how good the movement tech in this game is, and the platforming, and it's just so good.
Yeah, it's
so fluid.
It's such a good feeling game for me. Like it is like dopamine receptors are just blasting in my brain when I'm jumping. I'm like, oh, this is good stuff. Like,
it's so good.
I love it.
Good.
Let's talk about the Forlorn Ruins. I just want to get it over with.
Alex.
For starters, I love the area. I like the look, the art of it. Like
the icy area.
Like the mountainscape, like going through the clouds. So pretty, so beautiful.
Yeah, I like icy areas. I figure you probably like the look of it too, Quinn.
I love the look of it, but let me tell you, this whole gravity bullshit was not fun, because I spent 25 minutes at one spot where you come like when you do the first two half pipes, and you come and you first see the like cube with gravity. It took me 30 fucking minutes to actually understand what this goddamn mechanic was.
What was the part that like didn't click with you?
No, I would jump, and then it would the whole like inverted gravity thing wasn't fucking clicking with me.
Okay.
So I think I know what part you're talking about.
The one with the cubes where you have to jump from like cubes.
Yeah, when you first get to it.
Yeah, like you half pipe up and then it drops you onto a cube. Then like I get what, like, there is a little bit of I had a little bit of confusion there. It didn't take me that long to figure it out, but like
I'm bad.
I can recognize that confusion though, because like that's like kind of the first real time where it kind of like pulls that aspect of it. Like specifically for me, I said in our Slack, like the gravity aspect of this area was not what bummed me out. It was I'm carrying around this ball and it limits all of the movement options I have. Like and that's just not specific for this game. This is just a thing I don't like in games, period, is like, let's spend this whole game collecting new abilities and like showing you how to use these new abilities. And then, oh, by the way, here's this like mid like near later section of the game that just like takes all of that away from you instead of letting you kind of use all of your abilities that you've gone. Like it felt like it just kind of halted all the momentum the game had kind of built up before that of just, and that's kind of like, that's just how those games, it's not a specific to Ori thing, it's just a thing in games I don't like. So when I got to that, and I was just like,
for me, it took me a while to wrap my head around when you're on a cube, walking to one of those sides and then jumping off, and gravity being adjusted to where you jumped off from. That took me a while to for that to click in my head. But I think the thing that bothered me the most was just how they handled the controls. Like, I didn't like how it was always tied to the direction you started when you started climbing. So even if you were starting on a horizontal plane and you went up one of those half pipes to go vertically, you didn't rotate the stick along with it to continue going. You just keep pressing it the same direction as when you started. And even if you're upside down on the ceiling, you're pressing the opposite direction you actually want to go. So that disconnect between how just the controls were handled bothered me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Scott.
I see, man. I like the controls in this section. I like the gravity mechanic. I like the fucking ball thing. Like the reasons why I like it. And it's been a while since I played it the first time. Keep that in mind. So like, I don't necessarily remember like the figuring everything out part of this. I just have kind of known it since the last time I played it. But you know, I remember it not necessarily being confusing. It just kind of clicked with me. I like the ball specifically because the game obviously is about platforming at its core, and it gives you all these tools all the time. When it brings everything back down to like you are only going to jump in a specific way, they can create like these more specific platforming challenges that I really liked. So like the gaps between things were a lot more specific, so that you had to time everything perfectly. Like there's one puzzle in this where you're upside down and you're going across a pit of spikes while this plant intermittently shoots a seed at you, an attack, and you have to like the last jump to get over the plant and onto the last platform has to be perfect. Stuff
See,
like that,
I completely circumvented that by using the gravity mechanic.
Yeah,
because you can go to like
you can jump around.
Yeah, you can go to like the half circle into this jump and drop down onto that piece. That's what I did.
I think I might have done that the first time I played it. Now I think about it,
because I just kind of realized, like, I started doing it that way and just realized, like, oh wait a minute, fuck this, just like dropped into it.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Like, I like stuff like that. I like seeing those kinds of things. Plus, like, I don't know if we'll get to it of like going back and playing those kind of additional sections of the game. One of them is similar in that you have to carry an item around that works like this, and obviously there's the part of the Misty Woods where you have to carry an item around as well. So I like that kind of stuff. And like I'm trying to think what was one of the other things you guys brought up. Like the controls, like switching, like I prefer it to be consistent. Like if I'm holding right and I'm going around something and it just transitions into me being on a different part of it and I'm still holding the same direction, I would always prefer that personally, just because I know it's not going to change on me.
Yeah.
Depending on where I am positioned on the object, I know it's always going to be right as Ori's right, and then when she's upside down, it's still going to be her right, and then left is always going to be Ori's left. Like I prefer that personally, but I do get it, Scott. I understand.
I will say, once I figured out how the gravity actually works, 30 minutes later, I really liked it.
Yeah, like this part,
it's really smart, but it was just like, it was such an ass ache to actually get past that first barrier, that like once I actually got it, I was like, oh, I actually like this a lot. But
I want to make an Irrational Passions shirt that's just Quin's face saying "ass," such an ass ache, because I've never heard anyone ever say that.
Seriously, you've never heard anyone say ass ache before?
I've never heard that before. I could be crazy. Have either of you guys heard this before?
Nope.
Like a headache,
I have never heard
ass
ass ache.
I mean, like,
It makes my ass ache.
it's not that. It's like you just say it's an ass ache. Like it's a pain in the ass.
My brain interprets like this.
Well, like I picked it up from my grandparents who live out east. So say what you will.
It
about
could
West
be.
Coast lingo.
It sounds like an East Coast thing. I will say it does sound like some dumb shit we would say over here.
Because my grandma also said she'd give him the agita. So
I love that one though. That's a classic.
it is. And Italian parents.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I like this section a lot. I was
Visually, though, I thought this was definitely one of the cooler places.
Yeah,
it was.
same.
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay.
There's like that great moment too where Gumo like comes in later and he like sees the frozen other Gumo. He gets all sad and puts his hand on it. It's like, oh,
I know.
he's so sad.
I really like. It's not until I actually beat this game that I love how minimalist its story is,
Yay!
and how like not involved it makes you.
Yeah,
As it, like you're just having a journey through this world, and events are happening around you.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things in games ever, is when they do that.
yeah. It's a really
Cut to Quin last episode where he was complaining about this very thing.
that's good that
seriously.
it came full circle for you.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. 'Cause
Yeah.
I thought it might. Like, I really like the story of this game. Like, especially, I will say, like, going back through it this time, I was like, this story's awesome. Like, I really liked it. I was really hoping it would kind of click with you.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, because I played this game in two chunks instead of like sitting down multiple times because of how my life is. That's why it's like this. The second time I sit down, it's like, okay, I'm gonna spend. I have more time to spend with this, so I'm gonna do that.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, I pretty much play it the same way, and I think some of it was where like the first half, like you don't really see much of the story at all, really. In some regards, like this end half is where you kind of get everything dropped on you. And in some ways where it's just like everything that gets revealed to you in this chapter and being like, oh yeah, so like everything is kind of like I don't think it's not necessarily like a full on like twist, so to speak, but just like you didn't really have the context beforehand, and now it's kind of all here.
Yeah, like everything with Kuro is like you know that she's pissed, but like you don't really know.
Yeah,
like,
she's just a big ass evil owl.
I almost
Hey, owls aren't evil. Watch your mouth.
I mean, this owl is evil.
This owl is evil.
I was literally saying it's a big ass evil.
No, she's not. She's kind.
She comes back.
Well, that's all you knew before this.
You're
spoiling.
She's redeemed
Quinn.
a bit, but she's still a pissy owl for 90% of the game.
Fuck all of you.
It's true though.
Owls are good animals.
Well, I mean,
there can be bad versions.
I like that this owl is like the scorned. I love that. Just again, when we're talking about the characters in this game, it's like a weird puffy lady, a dude with really long arms, and an owl.
Legs.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
And a fucking magic tree.
And a magic tree.
Yeah.
Of course. Also, like,
magic trees have been around for a while. That's a staple of video games.
Maybe we can talk about it at the end, or maybe I can talk about it now. A thing that I like, a feeling I had seeing through the end of the story again this time is that I love how this is. We are playing out this kind of narrative of the natural balances shifting back and forth in this world that is totally untouched by outside forces. Like we are just in this fantastical fantasy forest that is just like these creatures in this forest living their lives, and the balance of light and dark in that forest. I just really love it. Maybe it's just the fern gully in me, but there's just something about like this kind of beautiful forest, like just kind of battling itself internally, and seeing the struggle there. I love.
No, I'm right there with you.
I feel like that's so uncommon, even in fantasy games. A lot of like you think of Lord of the Rings is all about kind of like the shift of power from magical fantasy forest folk to like people and their technology.
Yeah.
And this is all just about the fantasy forest, and I'm here for it.
And I think this game takes that and puts a really interesting spin, because by the end, it makes you feel like were we kind like, especially with the once you find out more of about the owl's backstory and why she's so angry, it really makes you think, is like, oh my god, have we been the dicks this entire time?
Yeah, right. Like, I love that
it's light that is kind of the bad aspect in this situation.
I like the idea that light is corrosive to certain things that aren't inherently evil, right? Like, it's very, maybe it's just because we all been playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts, but like this kind of idea of balance is
Quinn,
some of y'all have been playing.
Listen, everyone has really been playing Kingdom Hearts. Quinn's a fan.
Don't include me with that.
He's playing a bit. It's a long bit. Don't worry about it. He loves it.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, I like the idea that we are very like directly seeing like this force of darkness that isn't evil, but like light is creating its own kind of conflict when it like obviously just fucking murders these poor baby owls.
That was so sad.
It's good stuff. How do you guys feel about the sequence at the end of the Forlorn Ruins, the second escape sequence?
It's fine.
I
really don't like those.
Honestly, I was trying. That's the one where you're like, get the claw. You use your like claw to like fly
you're gliding upwards, and
the
ice spikes are falling.
Okay, that's the ice spike one, right? Yeah, that was fine. It was cool. I felt like
that as much on that one.
I was gonna say I felt like I enjoyed that one more than the water one, just because I felt like I was more prepared for it in some regards. And it was just like, and it was just different because now it's like, oh yeah, I can actually just move around like a normal little. I have all my abilities kind of now again.
I don't know if I enjoyed it. I was just like, they're one of these damn things. Like I think I think I enjoyed the water one more than this one, but I didn't have as big of an issue with this one as I did the water one. Because with the water one, it was utilizing like the dodges and timing those dashes to get to other things and making it like I really enjoyed that. While this one is like, oh shit, I just got hit by a thing that randomly fell down, or oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, so I guess I have to redo the whole thing.
Right.
But now I know this boulder's going to fall at this point.
Yeah. I will say, I like this. I mean, I like this a hell of a lot more than that evil fucking tree thing. Simply because, excuse me, you had the ability to like slow down and actually think about what you're doing instead of being rushed all the time. I don't like that. So I hate that in games, and I hate that like so much in general. Like, give me time to think about what I'm going to be doing, instead of like rely on my intuition and like some like like me snap my fingers. Like, give me time.
I mean, I think there's just like an extent to where like Ori is just not trying to be that kind of game. Like I like that. Like I like the instinct platformer. I think Ori plays those sections really well too. Like personally, because there is, especially like when I played, we get 2 of these sections in this one just because of the way the 50 split went. I definitely like the Jinzo tree escape a lot more than this. I like this though because it is a different pace than that, but it's accomplishing the same thing. Like like you said, Quinn, like you can you have to play it a little bit slower too. Like the shots where like water's blasting through the ice, and you have to kind of stop and wait between these blasts of water and then navigate around them. I like that a lot too. I also really love how all of this transitions into the next section, like from the ice escape, like the caverns are crashing in and you're gliding out to the first Kuro chase scene outside of the temple in like that same area that you'd already been in, right into like the wind, into the canyon, into like the next section.
Sorrow Peak.
Yeah, it's all really seamless, and I think like aesthetically it transitions really well, and obviously like the way the wind carries you literally to the next section. I think this is a great visual handoff. I think this section is just a little bit less interesting inherently because it is the second of this kind of section, but I like all 3 of these in Ori. They're probably like my favorite parts of the game. I like that those intense time is ticking like platforming sections. I think they're really cool.
The one out of Mount Haru is by far my favorite.
I was gonna say, like in general, like the kind of more escapey type areas that were in the mountain area that we're about to get to, I liked a lot more.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like that, especially like what they do with fire, because you don't like really see fire up until that point. You just see lava.
Yeah,
it's very good. Yeah, I like this. I like how the tension in the story builds through this too. Like Kuro shows up, and then you have this awesome sequence where you have to kind of navigate around things that protect you, like things in the foreground that will protect you from her sight, so that you can get to the next section.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool.
I will say the next section, Sorrow Peak, is probably my favorite section in the game.
That's what I thought it would be too. When you were talking to me last week, I was thinking entirely of that section of the game the whole time. Just so you know.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah.
You apparently you have me pegged, Alex.
I got you pegged. Cool owls.
Yeah, and I like that section of just all about like flight, and I love the aesthetic of that scene. I love like the brown desert. It feels vacant. It's the only like stage in that game that doesn't feel lived in. It feels archaic, and like there's something that I really love about that. It's like you spend so much of the game like in the new world, and that's the only part where that's like actually old, because it's dead. Not like there's nothing alive there. There's nothing that indicates that it's alive. It's a lot of spikes, and it's a lot of like air and all that traversal. I personally love that stage a lot, but
yeah, I really like the aesthetic of it. Like you said, like it being like this canyon, and it's not overgrown, it's not lush, it's not green, right? Yeah. It's the antithesis of a lot of what we've seen already. Even like, man, love the level design in this game. Like, I like when we get to the volcano later,
Yeah.
We're going up the mountain. It's a forest still, but all the trees are burnt and everything.
Mhm.
I love how everything is just a part of this giant, endless forest. Like this forest, just all these trees are just everywhere. I love it. Oh, so cool. What did you guys think of the ye old dusty canyons?
I really liked it. Like Quinn was saying, the traversal, now that the winds are available, just seeing the updrafts everywhere, and just the long ascent up to where the pass and everything was just... I really liked it. I thought it was really, really cool. And the aesthetic, it was a nice change of pace from the main forest, which is, like I mentioned last time, is what I was happy to see.
Yeah, and I really like that it still kind of kept, even though you were kind of gliding the whole time and not like kind of platforming around a lot, but it still kind of kept that kind of, there were areas where you still had to be precise even with your gliding. Like kind of like drop, knowing when to like kind of like drop, and like kind of like I kind of feathered it a lot. Like a lot of times I'm just like feathering the kind of glider just to get at the right spot so I could kind of glide through one way. Or I really enjoyed that area too, and just like you said, how it feels like it's connected to other parts of this world. Like even like when you get the big draft through the canyon area and you go flying up into this canyon, which then kind of continues you going up, and you're like basically breaking through so the wind drafts can carry you up into this mountain, and like it all made sense. Like it was, in some ways to me, that was kind of like that first area that like made the world feel more connected than it kind of was before then.
That's
for
cool.
me.
Yeah. I like it's all worth it too for that moment where you finally get to the top of the peak and you break through.
Good.
Yeah.
Break through the clouds.
You see the sky in the background. It's like, fuck, this looks so good.
Oh yeah,
It's so cool. It's such a good moment too, because like nothing in that game looks like that screen.
Yeah.
There's just one screen that looks like that. I think that's really rad. So
completely agree.
yeah. So at this point was like after you get the sunstone, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
You have it's a good time to kind of break and explore a little bit if you haven't already. Did any of you guys go exploring? Did any of you guys find some secrets?
I didn't do any secrets. I got just health upgrades and the blue things. I got more upgrades of those.
Did you guys go back and get the dash ability, the little, and do the extra area?
Honestly, I
No.
just went right to the mountain. I went right to the
Yeah,
mountain.
I got the dash from the skill tree, I think.
It's a different dash.
Okay.
It's like an actual like forward, jump forward. It's very cool. Scott, did you?
I did not.
Okay. I would encourage you guys to check it out. It's like I said, that area is a whole new area with like basically two major new areas that they added right underneath where you start. So you can go back and you can learn more about is it Nomu? Is that the lady?
That's right.
Mom? Your adoptive mom?
I always want to call her the
Speaking
lady
of-
from Undertale.
Speaking of your mom, when we get to Mount Haru, we see, or after the wind area is released and everything, Gumo takes the charm and revives your mom, and then they come after you, and that was really touching.
Yeah, it's a sweet moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this idea that your mom's just dead just somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just been
Super sad. It's super sad.
it's like Jesus. That's the
This
forest, man.
game hit me in the feels a lot harder than I was expecting it to. But before we started this journey, I have to admit.
It's got, like I said, it's got a really sweet story. Like again, like these kind of forest creatures working together to help each other out. Like there's no real end goal. Like obviously you are trying to get Sign back in the tree and restore all the balance to everything, but you know, there's everyone's just kind of helping each other. Everyone's just in it together, and I like
Trying to survive.
I like the tree's narration of like Ori had this effect on Gumo of like she helped him and this created this feeling in him that he had to help someone else.
Yeah, like overhearing their conversation.
Yeah.
From the last scene at the end of the ruins. That was cool.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's good vibes. And at some point along the way, Ori finds Kuro's nest and finds her last egg and finds out what happened.
Yeah.
I like that scene a lot because there's no VO, there's no narration from the tree, there's no perspective, like there's no excuses, because you kind of get a lot of interstellar or interstitial dialogue from the tree of just kind of introducing things or trying to explain things or explain away things.
Yeah.
There's no excuse that happens at that point. It just, you see this really horrific scene, and what's great is like that scene when the light spread across everywhere was the scene that the tree was trying to reach Ori from the beginning when Nomu or whatever her name grabs you and hides you in the cave. So it's like the tree trying to find its daughter killed Kuro's daughters or children. So it's very sad.
Yeah.
It is.
Game gets dark.
It does.
It fucked with me a little bit.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool that this game
hit me.
Morally
is
gray.
is a very good action platformer, or a very good platformer in Metroidvania, and then it also like fucks with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Crybaby boys.
Crybaby Boys unite!
So what did you all think of Haru and that whole sequence with having to turn off or block lava flows and lowering the lava?
I
So
loved
you
it.
loved it, Quinn.
Okay, let's like talk about level design real quick, because this is not only my favorite like dungeon in the game, but it's one of like the smartest metaphors too, because you have to climb up the volcano, then go down the volcano. It's so smart, and it's not like you can do things in any order. It's you have to do things in a specific order. You're going up, you're making your way up to the journey, then you have to wait, like come back down. It's like, it's very metaphor-y, and I really, really loved it. There are some parts where I was like, this is a bit annoying inside the individual stages,
Yeah.
but I thought they were just like fun little challenges that I wanted from most of the, like the Forlorn Ruins and the Ginso Tree. I wanted like to feel rewarded for my abilities instead of I'm holding an orb which gives me gravity. You know what I mean?
I get you.
I really-
Yeah. It's a totally differently paced area too. I like that it kind of like leaves you to do like which side in what order, if you want to do all the left side or all the right side. I did it like I went to the top and went back and forth, which was fun for me, and they're all different, very well designed puzzle rooms.
Yeah.
Which like this game had never done anything like that up until this point. There's no puzzle rooms in the game outside of this, but they fit so well into the aesthetic and what Ori's doing and how the game plays. Like it's like, oh cool, this is like totally different, totally new, and really good. So
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. What'd you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I liked it a lot too. Honestly, it's like I got all my abilities back, and now it's like this was the polar opposite of like now I'm going through these areas, and like each of them like weren't specifically, but they definitely felt like each puzzle room was a little more tailor-made towards a particular ability, and I like that it kind of extenuated that. I know, like, we talked about escape scenes. Like, I'm pretty sure it was in one of those puzzle rooms was, like, actually, like, kind of the one I liked the most, where, like, you kind of, like, you go through... There's one where you have to, like, do a bunch of those dash jumps, like, almost perfectly. Like, you drop down, and then, like, the weird, like, rock... core glowy things,
turret thing,
like are shooting at you, and you have to like dash across those because there's like platforms you can land on, but as soon as you get something like damaged, it immediately disappears, and then you lose platforms. Like I remember that took me a lot of tries, but I remember like just like slowly like getting better at that whole thing was really cool.
And then there's one too, like I think it's the bottom left one where you go through it, and then you have to the lava is exploding back out and you leave it.
Yeah.
And
I was not prepared the first time, and I was just like, I did it. What
it's
happened?
Very alarming the first time.
And you're just like, oh. Yeah, but that one was really cool too.
And then lava drains out from like the area that you started in, and then you go down there and do like a similar thing again. It's very cool.
Yeah. It felt this gauntlet, this trial with the two different sides, it felt like it called back, I felt, to, okay, you've played this entire game, now we're going to test just how good you've gotten at this game. And it was a good challenge that had rewarding payoffs, like when you finally got done. But it was, let's see how good you've mastered these mechanics, these traversal abilities, everything like that. That was the vibe I got, and it was a very, like, with the areas that were like on fire that you couldn't stay still too long. I thought that was a really interesting mechanic where it kind of forced you along, and you had to. It still incorporated that instinctual platforming, but you still were able to find little spots where you could rest and kind of plan out your next move. I thought it was a good balance there, and just a really good, like the puzzle rooms, like you said, Alex, with the one that I remember with the, like, that wicker ball that you had to like dash.
Oh yeah, that was really
block
cool.
the lava flow.
Yeah. Or the lava flow coming down from the ceiling.
Doing that, I thought there was a lot of cool little puzzle rooms and tests in this section that I really enjoyed. Plus, I love the aesthetic of it. I loved all the glowy embers and things on fire and the lava, everything. Be gorgeous here.
Yeah, for me, I think I like the actual outside mountain. Like I said, like the broken, burnt trees, and burnt bark, and everything. I love that aesthetic outside.
Yeah.
And I like that you go into like this big stone temple. It's one of the few things like this in the Forlorn Ruins. Also, like these are made areas as opposed to the rest of the game, which are these kind of naturally occurring areas. Even like the Jinso tree was this tree just kind of in the center of everything. Yeah. So I like that these areas are the first kind of handcrafted areas, and they have a very unique look to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like the only thing, my only gripe is like I'm not a big fan of the laser rocks. Not a big fan of like the lasers that they shoot out, just because of how difficult it is to avoid them if like you don't have the right kind of angle on it.
Right.
It made me think a thing that my good friend and co-host Brian Option Jackson says, which is all games are better with a dodge roll. Ori would be better with a dodge roll.
I will say,
I agree with that.
My biggest gripe with the Mount Haru stage is the ability not to stay in one spot for more than 3 seconds.
Yeah, not a lot of safe ground.
Yeah, I'm a baby gamer. I like moving around freely and not jumping around like a jackass.
Yeah.
So
it does have you kind of jumping and hopping around.
Yeah.
Again, I like it just because like it's that the escalation stakes of like you no longer can even abide. You can't just stand somewhere. You have to keep moving.
That's good.
I also like I'd forgotten about the whole ending section of this game. I always forget about it until I get to it again. Just that kind of natural transition, like out of the volcano and into that, like Kuro shows up and like shit has gotten real. Like it gets super real super quickly. Like we found the last element, great. Oh no, this could go very badly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you like this section a lot, right, Mike?
Yeah, this last chase, the kind of final chase, it was a cool build up. It was neat. Like you said, it kind of transitions right into it, and all of a sudden you're kind of like you're like in a forest, and you can kind of see the tree in the background, kind of slowly starting to restore itself. But then you see like all the where you're at, and just like all the flames, and it's a cool scene.
Yeah, aesthetically, this is certainly one of my favorite parts of this game. Just the fire in this game looks so cool.
Yeah.
The final chase.
One thing I have to say that impressed me about this portion is, up until now, like, the game's made you kind of expect that you release an element, you escape where you're at. I like how they threw a wrench and kind of surprised you by having to escape the owl and not that the volcano was erupting.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the most expected kind of dungeon to have to really escape, the lava dungeon, you don't. You just run from the big bad, or the... What's her name again? Kuro. You just have to escape Kuro. So I thought that was a really interesting twist right at the end.
Yeah, it's a cool like escalation of the narrative stakes through the mechanical moments of the game.
Yeah,
it's very good. I'll say like this is the section this playthrough I had the worst escape scenes.
Hey Alex, welcome to the baby gamer club.
What they call me, baby ass baby gamer.
I'm the fucking founder, kid.
Sit down, all right. You'll be at the meeting. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot. I like the setting of this section, but I like how you're going into the forest. Like, the fire is chasing you through the forest, and like this kind of feeling, this frantic feeling that everything that you've been trying to help is falling apart right in front of you. Like there are emotional stakes while you're going through this section, on top of just like the horror that is like that sound when like Kuro lifts her wings and starts chasing you. Like, it's super awesome.
Oh yeah. What really sucked is after I got through this section and the end scene started happening, my Xbox like fucked up and just quit the game entirely. So I had to do the escape portion all over again. Just like,
did that happen when you were in that final cutscene where you played as Nomu?
It was after I had control of Nomu, and she was looking up at Neru, and then the game like glitched and then just turned off.
The same thing happened. The exact same thing happened to me, which is crazy.
That is weird.
But I had beaten it before, so you can go back in and play cutscenes again. The last cutscene like puts you right when you start as Nomu and through. Luckily, because when I reloaded my save and it was like I wasn't even at the chase scene, I was back in the temple. I was like, I'm not doing that again. Just because I was like strapped for time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ending. I like there's like a lot of good feelings. I know it got you all up in your feels, Scott, which I love.
It did, and when the realization in Neru that she had caused the same pain, like what killed her chicks wasn't done maliciously, like it was an accident that caused it, but she purposely, like the realization that she had purposely caused this like attack and tried to kill it, and her realizing that and then trying to redeem herself or redeeming herself was just, I thought, very emotionally powerful. And her looking back at her nest and realizing that what she had done, all this had put her last remaining chick in danger. Like this, her act of revenge has just raised to the ground like everything, her home, and risked the rest of her family. I thought it was incredibly powerful, and how Nomu like was holding and clutching the body of Ori. It was incredibly powerful, I thought.
Yeah, I think like
really well done.
In that moment, like there's a lot of great beats to it, because like you get out of the fire and you think you've lost Kuro, and then you're gliding, and it's just that shot where she comes and grabs you right out of the air, and it's like horribly upsetting. Like she squeezes you in and throws you on the ground, and it's like, Jesus Christ. But then like Nomu showing up and like cradling you and like looking, like holding her hand out at Kuro and like looking up at her like, my daughter, like I love this thing. Like all of that and all the kind of realization, it all happens very quickly. It's very subtle. And then obviously like Kuro sacrifices herself to save the forest. It's very good. This was the moment where I had that thought of like, it's cool to see like this totally insular story within nature. Like I like that. Obviously it's like some fucked up fantasy nature, but like there's no at no point did like man show up and ruin it, or like it's not like Ori is an outsider to this forest. She is just like, she is a creature of this forest, just like part of the balance, just like everything else. And all of these different ideologies are kind of meeting in the middle here. It's cool.
It's very good.
So Ori 2 Is that going to be? It
What's the
opens up.
fucking like, what's the plot of that?
I don't
it
know,
opens
but-
up, and a dude with a gun shows up, and they're like, "Man's
Tommy
here.
Vercetti.
Man is here now, Forrest. Get ready to get fucked."
Get fucked, Forrest.
I'm sure-
He starts shooting trees.
Yeah, seriously.
shooting trees with guns and
Fuck you,
bullets.
trees.
I will
That's
say,
a waste of wood, honestly.
if you watch the Will o' the Wisp trailer, you can see the baby owl is like
Yeah.
one of the characters in it. It's goddamn
It's so cute.
It's super cute. But yeah, like you see the forest come alive, then you see Ori's back, and she's okay, sitting on the log. It's like a nice mouse. Oh, okay. That's nice. And then it goes to the credits, and then you see like this cute picture of Noma and Ori, like all their faces covered in fruit juice. It's good.
I love the little rock when
Same.
it goes back to their home, and you see the little rock with scribbled, and the egg starts hatching. I thought that was very, very cute and adorable.
It's nice to know that things like got back to some semblance of normal and everybody's friends. It's good vibes.
They should have had "Why Can't We Be Friends" playing during that.
Was there a movie that had that play as the end credits recently? I feel like there was.
Somewhere, maybe. I don't know.
Google knows.
I'll ask my friend Google later.
Great.
I'm sure they know.
Yeah, buddy.
That's Ori. Are you guys gonna play Will o' the Wisp now?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Hands down.
at some point, I'm sure I'll jump into it.
It's gonna be on Game Pass, so I literally have no reason not to.
Yeah, that's true. I always forget that.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, I was very impressed with this one, just from not only just because of the beautiful visuals, but kind of the story behind it, the characters, and the superb platforming and controls and everything. Very excited about
it's a top 3 Metroidvania for me. It's like Hollow Knight, Super Metroid, and then Ori and the Blind Forest for me.
It's a strong one.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
What about you, Quinn? Are you gonna try and play Will o' the Wisps?
No, because I don't own an Xbox.
So it'll be on compute. Oh, you have Mac, don't you?
Yeah, baby.
We'll get it figured
no,
out.
because I specifically bought Game Pass to use on my brother's Xbox, which I canceled as soon as I beat Ori. So
hell yeah.
At
least you get that good value.
Yeah, man.
I might dabble with it, but like when I was playing on his Xbox, like I can't fucking deal with that UI. It is so hideous and like fucking so terrible.
I've gotten so used to it at this point.
Oh, God,
I used to hate it.
I just wish it loaded better. I don't really like those.
It should be snappier. I get way more frustrated with the PlayStation UI because
seriously,
it's so simple, but it is so sluggish and slow.
Yeah,
it's like using a fucking Mac. It's just so easy to use.
It's very easy, but it's just so sluggish. And it's like there's no reason that this should be.
I will say, loading up my capture gallery, it can get a little sluggish, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gets a little chuggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now's my favorite part. I want to know.
Yeah. What would you? Yes. Well, first let's rate it. Like, if we had to give this a rating right now on Irrational Passions 0 to 10 scale, Alex, what would you give it?
Let's go to irrationalpassions.com and look up what I gave it. What? 4
Would
years
your
ago?
score or your opinion or score changed in the convening years?
I don't think so. That's the thing. I think I would still probably stick by Ori. It's funny. I played this game and Axiom Verge back to back.
Mm-hmm.
But like Axiom Verge, I played in a total vacuum because I had it like 4 weeks before the game came out, which like very rarely happens for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very weird experience. I think I gave this game a 9. I would probably still give it a 9.
Mike, what about you?
Probably like 8.5.
Quinn?
8. Like, I think it does a lot, but the last half of the game is so much better than the first half. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with an 8.5 as well. I think it was incredibly strong. It did have some shortcomings and things I wasn't a huge fan of, but it was certainly a strong game.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious to see how they improve and grow the game and its mechanics in the sequel.
It's cool. Like, Ori and the Will of the Wisps looks like way more like an RPG. There's NPCs that you talk to. There's like shopkeepers. There's quests. I think there's a quest log. There's like more of a straightforward skill tree instead of like the 3 separate trees. There's a sword. It's like way more. It's way more actiony combat. It looks like it looks like they learned a lot. Like it looks like a far more ambitious game, and like Ori to me is already a very ambitious game.
Yeah.
How many times everybody died?
So yeah, deaths. Quinn spoiling his own surprise. We'll start with yours. In the document.
691 times.
That's not that bad. I feel like that's reasonable.
I died at least 100 parts in that fucking gravity section, so.
That sounds right.
Mine was 481.
How much was yours, Scott?
292.
Fuck you.
Mine was 212.
Fuck both of you.
I booted up one of my other saves, like, and I was like 143, and I was like, that's actually very impressive. I think there's an achievement for playing the game without dying. So.
Earlier today on one of the speedrunning channels I watch on Twitch, they had Ori and the Blind Forest all skills run.
Nice.
30 minutes.
That's crazy.
30 minutes.
I think my final time was like 5 hours and 53 minutes or something.
Yeah.
7 hours, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Pretty crazy.
I would still say you guys should go back and I know none of you are going to do this, but you should go back and play that.
I kind of want to go back and get all the collectibles. So after I finished my playthrough, I did go back in and start working through getting collectibles and stuff like that. So I could see my going back and playing it.
It's an easy game to 100%. There's not a lot to it.
You just said you had to beat the game without dying, Alex.
Well, I mean, like, get all the collectibles in the game.
Okay.
I'm not saying, like, do all the achievements. Like, there are a lot of challenge mode achievements stuff. So.
Sorry.
Shh, come on, calm down.
All right.
I would never. I don't think I could ever get through that game without dying. The idea of that
would be crazy.
Anxiety. Like,
that would be pretty crazy.
Imagine being in that Kuro chase scene at the very end of that game, which is very difficult, and like knowing if you fuck up once, just everything was worthless.
Yeah.
Like, too much stakes. Too many stakes.
Too much.
But now that we've revealed all of our deaths, now is the exciting time to announce next game for Video Game Book Club. So check this out.
None of us were prepared for what we'd find that night, or how much it would change us all. I arrived just as the sun began its slide into the slumber of a dark night. The town stank of a desperate longing.
Thimbleweed Park is a point-and-click adventure game which begins as a simple murder mystery, but quickly evolves into something dreadfully more sinister. Not everything is as it seems in the small town of Thimbleweed Park.
And there we have it. Yes, the next game is Thimbleweed Park, picked by our very own Mr. Quinn. Quinn, tell us a bit about this game.
So, if you like the X-Files like I do, and if you have some interest in point-and-click adventure games, let me tell you about Thimbleweed Park. It is one of my favorite games from 2017. Yeah, I would safely say that. It got me into point-and-click adventure games. The game is very smart. The characters are very interesting and very complex, except for this one really annoying clown, which we will get to and talk about in full depth. Alex knows some bit of the clown, but like its execution is not good compared to the rest of the game. But no, fun mysteries await us in the land of Thimbleweed Park.
Cool. And what is the first checkpoint that people can play up to? Or that we will be discussing in the first episode?
So there's 9 chapters in the game, so we'll split it up into every 3 chapters. That'll be the checkpoint.
Cool. Sounds good. So chapters 1 through 3 for the first checkpoint.
Yeah.
And speaking of checkpoints and video game book club, we've been doing this a little bit. We've gotten it under the belt. So, starting with Thimbleweed Park, we are ditching the whole monthly idea of video game book club, and instead we are going to a bi-weekly schedule with video game book club, including making these discussions that you're seeing right here live as like a live stream discussion cast that you'll be able to come in and pop in and chat and share with us your own thoughts of the game so far up to the checkpoint. So look forward to that. So we'll be playing longer games, not constricted to just 3 episodes per game or a monthly game. It'll just be, we'll still keep it within reason.
Yeah, I think
keep it within reason.
we'll probably still aim for 3 episodes, I would bet.
Yeah, 3, but if they go to 4 or 5, or if we do a special game, so be it.
Final Fantasy VI.
Final Fantasy 6 could be a good one. Actually.
Yeah, I could see that being like a 5 episode. That wouldn't be too bad. But
you seem so aghast, Quinn.
That game's like 50 hours long.
no, see, that's the thing with super like old like RPGs, like Super Nintendo RPGs and stuff. You remember them being long, but
Yeah,
they
not
really
that
top
long.
out at like 20.
Chrono Trigger's
hours.
like 18 hours long. It's
Yeah.
not like 50 hours. But
No.
everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
35 and a half hours.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
That's really not that
Dude,
bad.
I just like put 70 hours into Kingdom Hearts 3. Like nothing you say will phase me.
Yeah. Plus 35, like you would have to do everything in Final Fantasy 6 to do that.
Oh, that was time to beat main story.
I doubt that's true.
That's yeah, I
Let's-
disagree with that.
let's-
But
let's
anyway,
pump
we're
it up right now.
that's for another discussion. But yes, we'll be doing it bi-weekly, so look forward to that, starting with Thimbleweed Park. And until then, everybody, where can everyone find you on the internet? Everybody, Alex, what about you? Where can people find you?
Alphader27 on Twitter. Irrational Passions podcast every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I like to think of like this new format for book club. It's just a bi-weekly podcast, baby. I'm gonna try and get it on podcast services. It's my next big goal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Alex, we should talk about after that, about that, because I might have a way to do that.
Yeah, we might do
We'll
that.
talk after, but Quinn, where can people find you on the internet?
On Twitter at @quantum_arbiter, all my baseball ramblings as I usher Irrational Passions into a sports website.
No. You know, Sony used to send us.
And this will
MLB
be
games.
Quinn's last video game book club.
So Quinn's last project was Irrational Passions. It was
Passions,
book
yep.
club. It was great run.
No, that's where you can find me on the internet. I am patiently waiting till baseball starts so I can have life again. But
Hell yeah.
Cool. Yay, life. Mr. Mike, where can people find you?
At Mike Hits the Wall on Twitter, youtube.com/Irrational Passions. There's probably some video bullshit that I did or on there.
You got like 12 fingers in.
Yeah.
Play
there's-
Anthem with Mike. He needs this.
Yeah.
He needs
Mike
a
and I will
W.
be playing Anthem here in the next couple weeks. Mike's going to get a head start because he's become EA baby.
Well, I'm playing that version's on PC, so I won't.
Mhm.
I'll start off normal on console.
Cool.
Just play Anthem with Mike. He needs this.
I'll have plenty of people to play Anthem with. Don't even act
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're not getting it.
True. I'm falling into this
We've
trap.
been
just like
over
everyone
this.
Yeah.
We've talked about this for a while.
Yep.
else. Scott, what about you? Where can people find you?
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at SolidSnake120. You can also find all of our amazing content. We've had a lot of stuff coming up both on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Irrational Passions, and on our website, irrationalpassions.com. So be sure to check out all that crazy good content from everybody. It's been crazy. We have a new person on the staff, Miss Jessica. Hopefully we'll be able to get her on here in Video Game Book Club shortly. So be sure to shoot her a tweet saying hello as well.
Yes.
Go on our Twitter, twitter.com/irrationalpod to get a little bit of a inside knowledge of all the people on Irrational Passions with the new hashtag #MeetIP series that we just released. So look forward to that and check those out. But yeah, until then, everybody, we will catch you all next time with the first episode of Thimbleweed Park. So until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.